My name is Neale Mahoney. I'm a professor of economics at Stanford University, and I've been interested in financial distress and debt relief since I was a graduate student many years ago. What we found is that the impacts of debt relief are not uniform. They depend upon when the debt relief is provided, to whom it's provided. And so, for example, on medical debt, we have one study that shows when you provide debt relief immediately after a hospitalization, it has a big impact. Patients are more likely to go back to the hospital to take important drugs. But when you provide debt relief further downstream, a number of years after they have had their hospitalization, that the effects are more muted. We can only pick up effects on a small set of outcomes. No, that's not automatically true. People are in very different situations. And so for some people, debt relief at the right point in time can have a large impact. Other people have a host of challenges. And so providing them with debt relief may be not enough to resolve the other challenges they're facing in their life. We did a large randomized control trial in the United States where we worked with a nonprofit that buys and forgives medical debt that is up to 7 years old. And the types of people who haven't paid their debt in 7 years are down on their luck. They have really difficult financial situations, and they've probably gotten used to the stress of the debt collection process. For those people, we found really limited impacts of debt relief. One challenge we found with debt relief is that it's the people who are otherwise better off. I don't want to say that they're well off, but the people for whom their debt is the only factor holding them back. And where you remove that debt, you provide them with a clean financial slate. It's for those people for whom debt relief has the biggest impact we found in our research. So when I think about debt relief, I think about the benefits and the costs. And the benefits depend upon the financial situation of the individual when you're providing them debt relief. And the costs, or the unintended consequences, depend upon whether the debt that somebody gets into is the result of a deliberate action or the result of bad luck, an unfortunate circumstance. And so in designing debt relief, it's about having the biggest impact while minimizing the unintended consequences. I absolutely agree that this is an issue that needs the attention of policymakers and researchers. We've been studying other social insurance programs like unemployment insurance and healthcare for generations, but our research on debt forgiveness is still in the early stages. And so I think what we try and do with conferences like the one we're holding here is to bring together policymakers and researchers from around the world to share best practices, what we're learning, so we can chart the most effective path forward. Right, so there's sort of a whole host of policies you can think about if the problem you're trying to solve is rising debt levels. There's policies which prevent people from getting into unsustainable debt. There's policies that are designed sort of ex ante to help people get out of debt, so bankruptcy, for example, in the United States. And then there's policies which are designed ex post, once we as a society realize that debt levels are above what we think is sort of in the social contract, which are fair and reasonable, where we come in after the fact and we provide people with relief. And figuring out which combination of these policies is appropriate is an important question for policymakers and researchers.